Hello everybody and welcome back to Marvel Rivals. In this one we're going to be going over Peni Parker. Peni Parker excels at setting up literal nests, bunkering down, and doing a bunch of damage to anyone that comes near her. So let's just get right into all of her abilities. Penny's primary attack is called Cyber Web Cluster. She launches forward a Cyber Web Cluster. This ability does a decent amount of damage shooting these little web clusters out of her arm cannons. One cool thing about this ability is you never have to reload, unlike a lot of other heroes. You could sit in the front lines just shooting away to your heart's content. Penny's alternate fire is called Cyber Web Snare. Penny casts futuristic webbing that immobilizes enemies or creates a cyber web. While in the cyber web, gain healing over time and a movement boost. Excess healing converts into bonus health. Clicking the button shoots a spider web, and if it hits the ground or a wall, it will create a futuristic spider web on the ground. You can have up to 3 of these on the ground at any point. If you try to get a 4th one on the ground, the first one placed will be removed. Standing in it heals you over time, and if you're at full health, it will convert it into shield. This is actually a decent amount of healing, so if you're ever thinking you're going to be in a fight anytime, make sure you're standing in one of these. The speed boost doesn't really do a whole lot unless these are very clustered together, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Like the ability also says, if you hit an enemy with it, it will tether them for a short amount of time, allowing you to just wail on them. Also note that this can stun enemies out of their ultimate abilities, even if it's just temporarily for some heroes. Penny's next ability is called Wall Crawl. Hold the jump button to crawl on vertical surfaces. This ability is a Spider-Person classic. You just have to run up to a wall, hold the jump button, and she can run up it. Note that you can actually perch on a wall if you stop holding the forward button, but continue holding the jump button. I'm not gonna lie, I don't see Penny doing this quite often, but if you need to get to someplace vertical quickly, you can do that. Penny's next ability is called Cyber Bond. You shoot a web strand that links to the targeted area or cyber web. If stretched too far, it will trigger a pullback. This is another very underused ability by Peni Parker. What this ability allows you to do is look at a cyber web and attach to it. You can see that after you attach to it, you have a little web strand connecting you to that location. Depending on what direction you're looking, you can move a certain distance from it before it pulls you back to that location. When you're backing away from it but still looking at it, it seems to be about 20, and when you're running away from it with your back towards it, it seems to be about 10. A good indicator is the color of the spider web. If it turns yellow, it means you're getting close to that point where it's going to pull you back. Note that if it is yellow, you can jump and it will instantly pull you back to that location. Once it turns red, you have no choice, it pulls you back to the location. So if you're trying to get out of that spot, make sure you detach from it before you try running away. Like I was saying earlier, you kind of always want to be standing in one of these if possible. So this is kind of a good way to be able to move out and then jump back to get some quick healing. Penny's E ability is called Arachnomine. She deploys arachnomines that can be concealed within the confines of a cyber web. This is where the trapping begins. Arachnomines are proximity mines that Penny can stick to any surface. Walls, ceilings, ground, whatever you think. Note that enemies can see them and shoot them to destroy them if they are not hidden in a cyber web. This ability has 4 charges before you can't use it anymore, which it then recharges arachnomines one at a time. You can have up to 15 arachnomines on the ground at once, so make sure you're putting them everywhere while you can. If an enemy does not trigger them in a certain amount of time, they will blow up on their own, so make sure that you're putting them in spots so they'll get used. Placing an arachnomine, they take about 1 second before they explode, and they deal a decent amount of damage, about 100. Do not sleep on these. They do a lot of damage. If you see one, destroy them. And if you're Penny, just chuck them at enemies if you're actually in a fight. They're not going to have time to react. 4 mines getting thrown at them at once. Penny's shift ability is called Bionic Spider Nest. Generate a bionic spider nest at the target area, periodically spawning spider drones. While in the cyberwebs, gain healing over time and a movement boost. Excess healing converts to bonus health. This ability is her bunker down and get things done ability. You can pick where you want to place it, and once it is placed, it will spawn a gigantic spider web that does not count towards your 3 and will periodically spawn spider drones. Spider drones can run inside any interconnected webs to seek out enemies. That means if you were to shoot some webs outside of it, as long as they're touching, the spider drones can indeed run out of the normal radius. The spider drones will just run at any enemy that enters their radius and self-destruct. This doesn't deal a whole lot of damage on their own, only about 40 damage, but keep in mind that since this thing spawns a bunch of spiders, they all tend to run at the same enemy. I'll let you do the math on how much 10 times 40 damage is. Note that the bionic spider nest only has 350 health and can be destroyed by enemies, so it's best to put it around corners where enemies can't take pot shots at it. You can press the ability again to self-destruct the nest, and its cooldown will be based on how much health it currently has. If it's at full health, it only has a 2-second cooldown, scaling up to about 15 seconds if it is pretty low. Like I kind of said at the very beginning of this video, she is a trapper that excels at doing a bunch of damage to people that enter her radius. This is her radius. She gains not only a decent amount of healing per second, overshield if she's at full health, a speed boost, but she also has a butt ton of traps and heat-seeking spider bots in her area that has the potential to burst down anyone that enters her zone. If you are playing against her and you see this nest up, please target it. Your team will thank you. And if you are Penny, you gotta do your best to protect this thing because it is your lifeblood. Almost all of Penny's abilities revolve around these spider nests, so make sure that you have one up and are protecting it. Penny's ultimate ability is called Spider Sweeper, enhancing the spider suit, launching up enemies in its path, and deploying arachnomines, spider drones, and cyber webs repeatedly. This ability is pretty self-explanatory. It turns Penny into a more melee-centric character. Note that the melee attack does not go off of the crosshair, it goes off of whatever is in front of her in a cone, so you don't really have to aim that hard while doing it. You can do the spider sweep attack about every 1 second, and you can launch up to 7 more arachnomines. You also gain a bunch of shield, as you can see, so this is actually a decent ability to pop and to rush into a zone or a backline if you want to bully some healers. Like I said, the spider sweep does a decent amount of damage and knocks people up, so you can actually juggle them in the air if you time your abilities right. Like the ability also says, it spawns spider bots and spider webs behind you, so there will be constant spider bots also running with you to deal a little bit of extra damage to anyone around you. Peni Parker has one team-up ability, and that is with Venom, called Symbiote Bond. Venom shares a part of his symbiote with Peni Parker, activating her symbiote abilities. Peni Parker can convert the symbiote into an explosive spikes that inflict harm on nearby enemies and relentlessly drive them back. This ability is a little bit underwhelming, in my opinion. But as you can see, now that Venom is on our team, Penny gets access to a new ability. Pressing it explodes the symbiote on her into a bunch of spikes, dealing a decent amount of damage and knocking enemies backwards. You can move while in this ability, so you can chase people a little bit if you need to. This kind of helps her out a little bit, so you have a rushdown character running at you like a Wolverine or something, and you just need him to back off really quickly. You can also use it if you get someone somewhat low, and you can use this to finish the job. I'm looking at you, Season 0 challenges. Venom doesn't need to do anything for his part, except exist on the team. And that is everything you need to know about Peni Parker. What do you guys think about Peni Parker? I know this was a little bit of a longer video, but she has a lot to go over. Let me know what you think of her down in the comments below, and if I helped you understand Penny at all, make sure you hit that subscribe button because I'm planning on doing more videos about all the other characters in Marvel Rivals in the coming days. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.